Welcome back to another prop shop video, I guess. So I'm going to be continuing on with my shark hammer. So I started off I finished off last time because I thought I was relatively close to done with this, but I mean, it's not perfectly to scale, but when I find it, I mean, there's a bit missing. It's the kind of thing you'd expect from me, so it's fine. But it all goes together okay so far. Right, so while I was away, I finished off some detailing on, I finished off gluing this together. It's now glued together for all 3 layers. And I added that little bit there. I'm showing it the maximum it can reflect at the moment just to make its presence obvious, but under normal situation you can't really see it when it's not reflecting directly off the light. And that's just a clear thin bit of plastic packaging which keeps stops that from moving too far. And I hot glued the stick inside, then contact adhesived all of that on. I haven't done that hole yet because that's going to be later. I've done nothing to this because it didn't need it yet. But with the amount of extra detailing I need on the head of this thing, I'm going to have to go make that. So depth-wise, sorry, just jumping in and starting is not the easiest thing, so we've got the equivalent to the full thickness, which is there. Which is close enough to these 2 lines, which is where it's meant to be. So from those out, we have at least another 15, which hopefully will be enough to bury these inside. Because these are only they're about 15 deep, which, I mean, I'm talking millimeters, but don't worry. Right. So now I've got to make some cuts of, I think if I go for 20, yeah, if I go for 20, I should be okay to hide everything inside. And I go for this is 10 mil, because, easiest to do with. So I've got to mark off some bits at 15 mil and then cut them. If I just use straight lengths, we should be alright. But this is just going to be cutting and generally just reproducing the same thing over and over. If we do it like that, save the template for underneath because we're going to need that. Just cut. We have a little bit to start with there. I'm not too sure how long I'll actually need for this, but just measure some more to 20. Then cut. You do each one at a time so that you don't mess it up. Well, it's me, I'm going to mess it up. And for a quick estimate of 20, I mean it's 10 mil thick. Wow, this light does not show up grey on grey well. I mean, this thing isn't huge, so I should be able to do at least one side with 3. do another one. We should be okay for one side, then I can do an estimate of how much I need for the other. But a lot of this is just cutting and trying to make it fit. And fine. And we're good. Now if we do this, where is this bit here? We know at least front is, but oh, whoops! I sort of messed that up a little bit. I missed a little bit, but there you go. And now this is the outline. I have to follow the outside. This is slightly canted, but I mean, I'll just ignore that front bit and run it up in line to about there, then start from there heading down. And that bit is circular, and then rejoins that bit being circular on the bottom. I mean, it's much easier to make little modifications when it's chalk as well, but I know that's pretty terrible, but that's too small. Do I have a bigger circle that I can use? Or regular tape? No, too small. Let's try this. Too big. Actually, yeah, it's too big. That circle in the center, that one is perfect. No way. That's not... Oh, you're kidding. Okay, because you can't see what I'm doing. This is the right size. I imagine the actual thing's smaller, but I mean, it's supposed to be that little circle there, but that's the outside where it starts bending upwards, and that's the actual dome on top. So we're okay. And hopefully after that much procrastination, this will be warmed. Yeah, this was just a little bit wonky when I started, so I thought I'd just tap a little bit over the end so I can cut it off, make it look more, well, accurate to what I want. Okay, and that's the amount of extra we're adding to one side. As you can see, it's going to be quite a bit. And we go down there, got a little sliver because that's what it needs. I would say, sorry for being late today, my, like, this room was unusable earlier. Right, so for this bit, I'm literally just cutting an angle on there, like that. Now most of these are going to be about 45 degrees because that's the easiest to cut. And we've decided that it stops about there, right? So again, cut that a little bit sharper, about there. And now that will go across, and we've got a straight edge to connect onto there. Because it's much easier to connect to bits of straight line than it is to connect to the slanty. But again, for this prop, we're going to have to slant off the bottom. So what I'm going to do for that, because I'm only after a slight bit of an angle, if I follow my edge, my straight line here, but put the knife at a slight angle, I will end up cutting off at an angle if I don't mess it up. Of course, I have inevitably messed it up because my table's soft. So that there's now added a slight angle to the whole thing, which means that it'll sit like this instead of sitting up like that. I don't know how to show that. Okay, so there, so we end up with that angle instead of straight. Okay, so we cut that off to length and cut it at, what am I doing? So if we cut it off here and cut off at that angle, actually no, it's this way. So when I do the curved part, it's ready for it. But it also means I'm going to have to cut this bit back to make them join. It's going to be a bit of work, but nothing I can't handle. Just make sure the bottom bits line up and then we'll be okay. See, that bit's a little higher now, but we'll be okay. And at the end I'm going to come into here and fill in that little bit as well, because it just doesn't look good. And now we need to have a circular bit on the back. So the trade's going to end up like that. I know it's difficult to see. Cameras aren't that good at reproducing dark areas, so yeah, little I can do about it. But we cut again to an angle. Okay, just put all of you in line with the starting area. Then try to keep a bit of pressure on it so it doesn't budge. And hey, that one actually cut correctly. It's nice when it happens. Okay, and cut this bit like that, I think. No, wrong way. Okay, I mean, that'll do, I guess. When I say that'll do, it means I'm not the happiest with it, but I mean, it matches my minimum, so I'm okay. Ow. Ah. I left my finger in the hot glue. Let's just peel that. Ow. I mean, we're going to end up like that. Okay, so you down there, you there, and you there. Now it's not a perfect circle, but it'll do. So yeah. Also, it's interrupted, like leave enough room for a box in there. I think I'm going to cut like that little bit off so I can deal with it. It'll be fine. But I think that's going to end up in that kind of position. I mean, that's the plan at least. I mean, I think if I do that bottom bit straight, we'll be okay. Because I'm not that, well, I am that bothered, but... Okay, hopefully that's been enough. I'm not actually wasting time there. I am trying to make sure that it's stuck, because... sharp angles and harsh stuff just doesn't really work perfectly. So if we work like that, then come to about here, and if we stop it at that line, then we go back straight up so it matches the top. Ow, 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 ow. So it's still got a bit of an angle to it there. Again, special heat gun, do not do that. So on this bit here, just cut that bit a little bit so it starts to meet up, like that. Let's just do a little bit of a cut here to remove just a little bit of foam so we can stick the box in. Because I still need it to be removable. Unfortunately, like this bit's going to be sealed, this bit's the bit that's coming off, in theory. I mean, I've already stuck it down far more than I should have. Look, I'm ignoring my plans again. I swear at some point I'll learn. But that point isn't today. Okay. There you go. Hopefully, because there's a bit that sticks on top of here, I can make that removable. And then I can just pop in, grab it like that. And hopefully this other box is almost exactly the same size. Yeah. So when I make the other one, I can just pop it in like that. It does make some issues for where the controls are going to go, though. Because I'm going to have to be able to get to this at some point. So being able to pull that out, do this, is fair enough, but... Whoop, no, don't break the cables. You don't have to, like, repair them. That costs something, and I'm not in that mood. But we're going to need about another 2 of these, so let's go cut some more. where was I? Here, I think. Yeah. Okay, get my measure. I guess it was here. Let's get all that stuff from underneath so it's actually level. Well, I'm taking a mild guess here, but it was that edge I was cutting. But we can reduce waste a little bit, so let's do that. Let's just pop that in and slice. Okay, we've marked those two, and that looks like it. Okay, that should be enough. Just don't forget, everything I make here, I could make two of. So, okay, so we're going to swap this around so it's facing downwards. Because they don't have to be identical side to side, but close enough that you wouldn't really question it. Because unlike with animation, you can't just copy, paste, and invert. That's an insult to animators, I know. What they do is actually far more complicated. Okay, and now we've got a circle. Okay, let's get the first bit. Got a good straight edge on that one, so it's a good place to start. One, two, ow. Keep this on as reference. So we've got that, right? Now do I start slanting at this point or go straight? Went straight, obviously. Just cut a little bit of an angle there. About 45 degrees, but... So we start there, we stop here. And cut. This cut's getting worse. I need to sharpen that blade soon. Okay, gotta go sharpen the blade. Are you the right one? Oh, you're good enough. Again, you got sharpen blades occasionally, but be careful and do it safely. theory, there are little metal shards across that floor now. Okay, yep, that's fine. And if you use sawing motion, you end up with this type of edge where it's all feathered, and like one straight cut, you end up with one straight line. Yeah, it's good enough. Now we need to cut some slanty bits for this. I mean, we've done it before, so everyone knows the process, right? Just stick that there, stick that there. Okay. Also, if you're doing this, don't do it on someone's favorite table. It will ruin the table. Okay, fine. Don't straighten up then. Oh. See, because I'm looking at the other one, I'm forgetting it needs to be mirrored. So that was a complete mess up because I was just replicating this. Whereas this goes that way. Fortunately, all of the damaged bits are on the inside. So no one can see that hot glue will ever be there. So all those things that were making me feel slightly uncomfortable about the positioning of it, and it didn't look right, were because it was upside down. Because it didn't look right, and it was in the wrong position. Yeah, that's sort of predictable if you've completely screwed it up. But okay, just ones. Okay, we done. Okay, that should be about the right length. Fortunately, when dealing with square stock, it is the easiest to correct. If I had to do angles like that everywhere, okay, so we've got this now, and so yeah, I've got this entire bit table here, which is right next to me, that I keep going to use. And then I see the lines marking where the camera is, which my lines are here. I remember them outside of it. So, if you can't see it, sorry. Let's forget that there. Just one bit like that. Yep, and stick, I'll be okay where it is. Okay, and that bit gets stuck down. Will this bit go down in one shot? No, of course it won't. So I've got to do another bit now or straighten out. Unfortunately, I don't actually know a good bit of this table to press down on anymore. I mean, this is a plastic table I've been doing foam work on for 4 years and a bit. I mean, it's been abused quite a bit over the years. It's a good table, though. Oh, wow, that's a bad cut. So is that. Wow. Let's go around. So yeah, it will go. It'll go okay. It's got just enough. Wow, okay, that is out at this point. It's literally the exact amount of glue. Okay, now I'm gonna have to hold that for a bit just to make sure it doesn't run loose. If I just let go of hot glue, it'll just spring out. I know what it's doing now is the exact opposite of what I said it would, but I'm just going to have to trust my years of experience on it. That if you leave it for too long, it will just go nuts and spray everywhere. So if I cut back there, again, I'm going to have to do a lot more work if I get this wrong. I'm going to have to do a lot of work to correct it. Do you know? I prefer that to be a little bit more like there, but let's grab the box. Okay, we should be able to fit it into this. Now, I'm not joking when I say I have a lot of hot glue, because cosplay, hot glue sort of go together. And I've been using this stuff since I started, but okay, and that should all hold together now. In theory. Okay, let's just correct this a little bit. That bit's just to thicken this out to the right dimensions. It doesn't actually need to be any bigger than that. Okay, so it's getting thicker. It's what I expect, at least, because it's what it's supposed to be. But we still can only fit the box in one side of it and adjust. But if it's tight like that, that's good. Because if it's all loose, it'll bounce around, whereas if you can just go like plonk and stick the thing inside, you're fine. this one here, it will not fit in yet. Or ever, if that's... So let's take a little bit... Let's take a little bit off it so we can fit. Me, don't cut towards yourself. Also me. Ooh, cut towards myself. That sounds good. Fortunately, on the inside, nobody really cares. As long as the outside looks good, you're fine. Apart from judges. Judges will care. Okay, so we can just slide down to that end, and if we put a solid bit up to there, we can just slot it inside and put a little pouch. I'm using this one because it's easier than the other one to do, and they're both the same size. It is much too hot today. So now we've got that bit done. I need to do some little bits to bring this up, you know, to fit. There you go. And this little bit here. And a little bit here, just bring them up line with each other. Okay, and anywhere else where there's little differences in the angle, I'm just going to go across and give them a little bit of assistance to go together. Now I'm going to go across for Dremel at the end anyway, but it's better to do this now. Especially where it's going to be stuck under it. It'll all be hidden. So yep, that's together. Oof, there's a gap and a half. So I've got like a 1 mil gap here, so I'm just going to go correct that out. Okay, so that little 1 mil gap at the front is gone, so I can just stick them straight together. Just put that together like that, and that butts up and we'll be okay. That's nothing I can't hide at the end, hopefully. Those gaps, though, are going to look horrific, so I'm going to have to cut a trenched bit for down there. Essentially, the plan there is just get 2 triangle bits to meet up in the centre, and curve off the edges afterwards. But that's once it's all stuck together, and that's a long way in the future. So next up, we need to plan, because this is one big flat bit. So I'm going to do that bit separately, and then hopefully leave most of it clear. Just do that bit, then stick that bit on at the end. And of course, yeah, I wasn't paying attention properly because I just followed the circle and forgot this bit. So I'm going to have to add that bit on now. So circles are more complex to follow the edges of. So this bit's going to be a flat bit on the back. So we've already got bits the right length, let's use it. Do we have bits the right length? Yeah. So So we put that there and cut straight through. It's got like a millimetre more, so okay, so that bit goes on the back because this section actually comes out all the way, not just the circle. I know, when I thought I was done. So that bit I believe is cut to the right angle, yep. So we do that, mark a little bit of there just so I know where to cut. A lot of this is just working it out. So, you know, that bit there fits in just fine. And when I started this years ago, I would never have been able to do this. I just chuck bits in like that because it's like, oh, I've got some scrap, I'll be fine. I can fix it with scrap. That was an awful line to cut there. Just put a little, let's bevel it properly. Might as well use the right word, right? Okay, so that should be enough. So we've got that little mark there and cut because it's on a slant on the curve, there'll be a slight upwards cut as well as slightly backwards. Okay, so that fits onto the curve just fine, it's just a little bit too long. So what I need to do is take off, it's barely worth marking because it's such a small amount to come off. A little more. And we've got the other section to go in. It's just about fitting. Even with years of practice, you don't do things perfectly. And I am aware of the rule of measure twice, cut once. I just don't do it. And a little bit off the top. Like that. And we end up with a back section that almost fits. So there you go, we now got the right bit on the back as well. But now I've got to do that on this one, and I am out of material. So let's go cut another bit and clean off some of this junk because it's a mess. Okay, you look over there. This should hopefully be the last piece that I need. So 20, 20, and 20, because that's the length we've been using all along. And this should be too much. I mean, in theory, it should be too much. We'll find out in a minute. Wow, it's been overshooting everywhere, haven't I? It's okay, when it's a thickening plate, I don't care. So we just run a little bead along here. And just stick on. Okay. And do I have any of this stuff that's actually got the edge to it? No. Okay, and well, I've seen worse. Right. That was majorly blunt. There was barely anything left to that blade. It's still blunt. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going to have to do this one by plan B. So, like, there is more than one way to cut a bevel. This one requires you to be really good with a knife. The other one's way simpler. Okay. That slides in okay. And that line. Okay, a little bit more off. Just a little sliver. Because it went in and it just didn't fit properly. But honestly, I need to change the blade on this knife or snap a bit off. But yeah, that's what happens when you use a knife for ages. Does it fit? No. Okay, now it fits. This fits. Okay, and a little bit off the back again. Okay, and that just about fits, okay? As you can see, as my knife gets more dull, we start going from fits really well to just about fits. Which is why a sharp knife is really important for this. So a little bit off the top. And just cut through there, and a little bit last. Ooh, just a little bit more. There you go. And there's only so long you can keep a knife blade sharp for with sharpening. Oh no, all of that is in shot. The edges there. Maybe if I moved more towards the center it'd help. Oops, that's my ball. But either way, they're similar enough that we'll be okay. Now I'm going to chuck on some 0.5mm. Should I? Or should I go? So I'll restick the staff first because this, I mean, it's going well, but I've still got to stick these bits together and these bits together where this little splits. Once that's done, we'll be fine. You can see the gaps there, and it's the same on this one because I've only just basically tacked them at this point. So I'm going to try to stop it from rolling away from me, so I'm just going to put the head on temporarily. You know, that'll discourage it rolling. So I do. Seam of glue along there. Then roll it together so they're actually touching. Now this does actually adhere the tape to the project as well. But to get it off, you just run a hot glue, you just run a hot air gun over it for a few seconds. I know, but as I thought would happen last time, I'm ending up with some ribs in my head of the staff. Now, it may be really noticeable at this point when you're crafting it, but most of these things barely even show up at the end. It is only the crafters who will ever spot this type of thing, because most people looking at it will just go, oh cool, that's awesome. Whereas makers will look at it and go, huh, I can see this little mistake. But if you actually point them out to people, you're a dick. Everyone has the right to have fun, and if they're not having fun the way you want and not making everything perfect, so what? Who says everyone wants to make everything perfect? Okay, just continue squeezing together. The tape is just there to hold it in position. It's not really structural or anything. Okay, and that's both of those seams done. They'll be back to work eventually, but that one took like 5 minutes, so it's worth doing now, just so that's ready for use later. We're going to put this back so we don't lose it. It's always best to put things back so you don't lose them. Take a drink, because you should. It's good for you. Right, so next up I'm going to grab, that should be the end of the 10mm foam that I need. And hopefully I can drop down to 5. Now because this stuff is on the surface, I'm going to use mid-strength foam instead of the lowest, because this is 65 and so is the stuff I'm grabbing. I mean, I have 45 that I can use, but yeah. I mean, I just don't want to, really. Just roll all that there. Grab the chalk around, grab that. Stop putting stuff on top of the mouse because that thing will actually cause damage. So we chuck that up there. And that's on the front, wasn't it? Off the end of the table. I don't know where I knocked over, but something went. So I need is to about here, I think. So to make that, now we just work out the dimensions of that square and do it twice. So let's just cut out to 20, cut to 10, and cut line. Because this is no longer accurate to what I've got there. I mean, you'll find it's relatively close, but if you cut this shape, it won't go onto here anymore. So I just need something that matches the dimensions. And then just gotta cut afterwards to make it look good. You know, like that. Where's the box? Under the phone. Yeah. Where's the box? Okay, so we're going to put that there. Just leave that off so I actually have a surface to grab onto when it's done. I think I'm probably going to have to put like a little tab to pull it out or something. Yeah. Can I get in from under there? Yeah. So as a minimum, it'll work. Just mark up where to stop the glue. people actually don't like hot glue. I mean, I understand in places like America and Australia where it gets really hot because this stuff will just fall apart. But like where it doesn't go over like 50 odd degrees at the floor, it's pretty good. And you go there, you get a little tag mark that says stop. Shouldn't have got that bit on the outside. Okay, just squeeze down. I mean, it still fits, right? Yeah, it's fine. This one was always better than this one anyway. So now that should be dried enough where I can start cutting back. And here. Follow along until you reach it. Don't forget I'm going over it with something to make it look better afterwards, but I mean it's starting to take shape. That should be dried by now. Okay, I'm going to need quite a substantial pull up to get those in and out. Yeah, after seeing how basic those are, oof, that's scary. But after seeing how basic those fins are, even if I break them, I can repair them. Okay, so that's close enough. Okay, so that's one bit done. Ow. That blade is blunt. Very blunt. Okay. And when we stick something in, that'll flatten out anyway, so that'll be fine. Now the next section is we've got to put something out here to stick over this back section, same on this one. So we're going to go to about here, go to about that depth, and we should just be able to slide that in and get it back out. And that's not going to be going anywhere. The only problem with that, yeah, true. So the problem here is I need to be able to keep control. So I need to keep these running. I need to keep access to this. I mean, that's assuming this doesn't keep its program. If it does, we'll be fine. If not, oof. So that's something I'm going to have to decide over on that. Because wherever this goes, it has to have the LEDs stuck onto the end of it. Because that direct pins. furthest back point is there. Let's just square that all up. How long is it? 11 centimeters. We make this out to 22 and go out to 22. So then go out to 22 and draw an actual line down, and another one at 11. So there. There you go. Whoops, not out far enough. Okay, it did cut. And then this little line down the centre. Hopefully that both of those will be the right size. Just correct this a little bit. Stay. Okay. So now we know the line is there, it's the end of the circle, which is going to make this a lot easier. And put that end there just for some reinforcement. And let that stick down. Yeah, it's still acceptable. So yeah, that's why that one ended up out, because I went way too far forwards. Or started one way too late, but either way. Again, just go around the edges. Okay, and stick. Of course, if I used a proper program to do this and a proper template, I'd probably make it slightly more accurately as well. But accurate's never really been my thing. So now just go through and take off the excess. Deciding where to start is difficult. Oh wow, that is some of the worst work I've ever done. Like this section here where it's actually separated. Oh my, that looks awful. That's fair enough. It's just cheat. was easier. Much easier and much nicer edge on. Much nicer edge on it. Oh well. I don't need. Just make sure I'm cutting off the right side because these top bits, like the overlap there and there, is supposed to be there. Mess that up, I have to start over. Yeah, much better. Looks much more like it's going to be used to wax someone now. Still, it feels like this is just slightly too long. It doesn't actually matter if those bits butt up, they are just there to thicken it where the rotation needs to be. So, there you go. It's looking much more like it could actually hit something now. Oh, I'm going to have a lot of corrections to do at the end of this. So, next up. Now what we need is basically a smaller circle to go on top of there. Would that be too big? Yeah, just a little itty bit. Right, so I need one that's slightly smaller than that. Now it's me searching for circular stuff like, ooh. That's pretty good. To note, this thing that I'm tracing around is a pot of foam clay from the range. I mean, just in case you're going to go read the barcode and find out what it is, I can just tell you. So if we make these two circles, one for each side, then I think I'm just going to stand them off vertically because how far are they supposed to go out? It's probably about a centimetre in the end, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, if we just stand them off vertically, it should be okay. It'll annoy me a bit because I'm annoyed by most things. But hopefully we'll be alright. Okay, got those. Again, they're replicated one per side, so that's why there's two. Why is that just short? Guess we've cut that off there. And across there. A little more. Yeah. So now if we make this into 2 1cm strips, it should just about fit. I mean, that's just going to be a riser, but, you know. Just... Okay. Also, because the foam deforms when you push against it, it's not very good for, you know, accurate cutting. Yeah, like anything less than a centimetre, just not worth doing with a knife, because the foam just, basically because it's so squidgy and stretchy, it'll just, it'll either tear apart instead of cutting, or it will just mess up on you. Wow, look how accurate that recreation is. It's only about a millimetre out. So, in the top of these... Right. So let's mark out the circle where it's meant to go. Because there's lighting inside of these circles. And this is where we have to start worrying about the lighting rigs. It's okay if you get a little smaller than the actual thing that you're sticking onto. If it's bigger, then it's a problem, but smaller you can live with. Down it a little bit more. Because as I've shown repeatedly throughout this, always take a little bit off the end. The lighting inside of this, it's pink on one side, blue on the other, so I'm going to build a, well, separator down the centre, and then pretty much 2 light boxes, and then cut this into 2 circles, one bigger, one smaller, with a little half ring there, and put the light diffuser stuff on. One side's got to be pink, one side's got to be blue, and here's my other base. Because the wraparound's going to be pink, I'm going to use the same lighting that comes off that. But it also means I have to paint the inside of it white. I mean, to be fair, any colour that reflects a lot of light. Will be good for it. Yeah, that'll work. So now I need to cut another 2 1cm. Or if I just cut one 1cm, it should be fine. One. That's 2 cm. Should really learn how my own measurements are done. Yeah, that bit down there started to bend. That's why I had to go back for it a second time. Yeah, literally just put that through the center and make a light box. It's a little bit shorter. More accurate, this is fitted, the less light bleed through you'll get on the light box, which is what we want. So it's pretty much just blue LEDs that side, pink LEDs that side. Now this is something I should have checked earlier, but I didn't. Yes, they fit. I still haven't decided how I'm going to get them in and out yet, and through, because, I mean, I think I'm going to, like, drill a hole through there, run it through, and then run it through and, like, just weave it between the two, but that's when it's all stuck together, because you don't do the wiring beforehand. You've got to know exactly what length everything's going to be when you're done. Okay, and that'll fit. Just put a little bead of hot glue around here. And boop, done. So yeah, it's going to work. Then again, this section is going to have to be a bit on its own, but it's just going to be a rectangular block. So it's, I've said so way too many times now. I think that's about right. Of course, cut it a little bigger than it should be. Okay, so that'll just slot in there, which it does. And this little bit on top will okay, and that bit goes on top. Now, do I have any of that thicker stuff left? Yeah, because I just, right, I'm going to add a little bit of reinforcement under here because it's sagging a lot and I don't want it to. Because this bit here is starting to sag because, you know, it's got expanding and contracting stuff on it. So I'm just going to chuck this on top. Which is just a little block 10mm foam. And that'll hold it up flat. This section here, it's going to go on like that. And then I'm going to build the bit that goes on here on top of this bit, so you can just pop it off, pop it back on, get to the battery compartment. Which is going to be an interesting experience, because I'm going to build it all to the same level as that. So we just need 1mm. And we are coming up on the end of what this little bit that I cut off can take, which is fine. I think this is going to be the last bit. Yeah, actually, last bit. This one is the last bit, to the extent that I can't actually cut it with a knife anymore. I mean, we'll be fine. It's just... So we've got these bits, we'll be okay with that. And this is becoming a pigsty. I think that's even an insult to pigs. So this bit runs like that, then runs down to that end, curves round and comes back. Do a little bit longer one. I prefer not to make it two pieces if I can help it. Okay, fine. I'll cut a longer piece. So that's 25 centimeters. If we make it 45, we'll be fine. It's just max length. I'm sorry about having to go so far off camera to do this, but you can see the absolute state that the bench is in there. Yep, that's one end to the other. That should be more than long enough on its own, but we need to do one for each side, so we may as well prepare for the second. Or just cheat. Who needs to measure, right? I think this second one's better, actually. I don't think it's really noticeable, but it's just in case. So we run like that, and around there. So if we say like, do that, then stick across so it's a 45-degree angle. Let's move that back out of the way so I have some space to work. stick those two together, I'm just going to make it a bit sharper angles than the original. So we end up like that. Around there, and where exactly are we putting it? There. It's around that position. Then again, cut the angles to 45, so we end up with a right angle coming back. A little bit of glue. Then we just stick that bit down, like there. Of course, cut it at a slight bit of an angle, just to meet up with that. Okay, so we end up with that little section there. There you go, and that bit on the bottom, so just mark where it goes. Like that, get a little bit to clean it up. Get this one on. Okay, yep, that'll butt up just fine. I mean, once I've got something inside and that bit's pulled taut, it won't be quite so visible. There's a gap, so that'll be fine. So we get this bit and stick on. Will it go on that way? No, just short. That's annoying. So I'm just going to have to do it this way. Pull another bead. Okay, and wait for that to dry for a little bit. Or don't. I mean, I'm not the boss. So get this little circle cut out. And when that goes on, they'll meet up. I mean, that's going to be a little higher because it's going to have a white layer underneath, but I mean, there you go. Then we get little bits to do detailings on the end. So up here we cut a bit that's that. Then this. And cut this edge at a slight bevel. Stick them together. Like that. Then get a little bit that's longer at the back. Yep, if you just cut a rectangle out of that. Bevel the front, but not the back. And stick. Okay, so you've got that. You just stick that bit on top. That's basically going to be around that thickness when it's done. And again, battery compartment. I gotta find some better way to stick it on at the end, but because I can't just have it like just doing that. Right. So I'll officially say that side's not entirely done. I've still got like little bits to do, but it's getting there. And conveniently, that's almost exactly the right size from the start. Move you up a little bit so we can get rid of that hard edge. Okay, so that bit goes on just as before, and we're just redoing what we did last time. A little bit of leftover 10mm just to support the centre. I mean, it looks bad inside because you've got that little bit there, but I don't care. Okay, another little bit, stick it in the front. Just to hold it tight. There is an alternative, but I don't like it, so if we aim that bit down, we'll be fine. That's 1, 2, and 3. The advantages of just replicating the same thing second time through, you already have a template. So you just get stick it all together quickly and it all goes. Just tack this bit on. Cut these bare slight angle to go around the circle. Bring it back and obviously for something that is just replicating something that already exists, it fits. Run along there. My glue gun is starting to cool down now. That's the way it works. It gets too hot, then it gets too cold, then it gets too hot. The only real difference is how hard you have to squeeze the trigger. Ooh. Oof, that's close. But it fits. Just get this bit, chuck it on top. And yeah, you can see just how horrific my desk gets when I'm working, right? This is how it always looks. I mean, I do sort of ignore it while I'm crafting, but again, end of every day I spend half an hour, actually no, probably half an hour to an hour going around, putting everything away, cleaning up. Okay, just run through again. Just remember, the overhang on this is intentional, the overhang on there is not. A little bit left. There you go. Okay, and mark up the circle. Cut that out. So that goes on like that. Pretty much that equivalent thickness goes on top. Just cut that off. There, and we're done. So that one, and a little bit for the end. No, it's too small. Then cut a slanted bit off the end of that. Just glue it on. It is surprising when you do these just how much difference these little things make. Because the detailing may seem like it's completely unnecessary, but when you actually see the difference, like before and after, it's somewhat ridiculous just how much difference it makes. Just to be fair with the amount of time it takes, it better do something good. Okay, so Pop you on there, because that's yours. And pop you over here, because that's yours. Now once they're both, yeah, like that. Okay, and now it's looking far bigger than chunkier than it was. But of course we still don't have any lighting rigs in it. We don't have the lighting rig, we don't have the hammerhead, we don't have XYZ. So now we need to decide where the hammerhead is, so we take those off. B and B. So now we've marked up which ones those come off, so we can put them back on the right one, because when everything's handcrafted like this, if you take stuff off, it's never coming back. It is one of the big problems with bespoke stuff. I mean, yeah, cool, you've got some bespoke equipment, but oof. I'm sorry, did you ever want to get that to work again? Once did you lose that bit? Okay, so that's how the front's going to be when it gets there. And the whole thing's going to be stuck together like that, so it's a very square head, I'll give it that. I'd like to curve some of these edges off at some point, but I can't go too far, because now I've got like this little bit there. But we need a circle on the front that's about that size. Where is something where I actually have the front drawn in the scale? Yeah, so literally, it's just going to end up being about this size. But because this is a supporting structure, let's get this drawing back out. So I need to work out how long it is, basically. Right, so we need to be about 60 millimeters by 9 centimeters, yes, 6 by 9. I can show you, I'll be tidying up at the end. It's actually making me feel self-conscious because it's so bad. But I'm going to leave that back before we're done. And no, 6 times 3 isn't 9, it's 18. I know 6 by 3 is 18 and 9 centimeters long. Unfortunately, I only have to make one of these. But this is going to be too long. That's unfortunately a thing. Or it's going to be too wide because it's got 20 mil to each side. Hopefully I'll be able to get it to work, but we'll see. Right. Just roll it up a bit. Now the best way to do this is with a hot air gun, and it'll follow the shape exactly, but when you do that, sorry, fan, it's still warm in here. So let's just see if I've got some old tape floating around that I can use. Guess not. But, 10mm doesn't like to meet up at the end, or meet up on flat planes, because it's really tough and you've actually got to work at moving it. So that's close enough. What diameter is it? Just 6.25. Heck, that's a lot better than I was expecting. So when we stick that on the front, that's going to be the attachment for the head. I know. So to get this, and run a bead again. But this time, ow. You know my glue gun cycles through hot and cold for no apparent reason. Current setting, hot. That hurts. And no, there is no computer control on it. It just broke years ago. I have yet to either want to or actually replace the thing, despite having multiple replacements. Now, I'm not going to stick this bit on because, I mean, it'll go on just fine, but this still has to come apart to do all the lighting work and everything else. So I just needed it together to get an idea of scale for this. So that'll be fine. Over the top, we're going to need a set of circles. So first off, I'm going to get, it's going to have to be bigger than that, isn't it? Okay, so if I cut that one out of CF45 without the ability to be seen through, and then I cut the light resistant one out of, or the light diffusing one out of that. Now the question is, do I use the LD or the one that's actually designed for light diffusion, or do I use the one that I think would do good? Fortunately, I only have to do it once. You know what, this would be embarrassing. Yeah. And anyone who's ever cut stuff by hand Well, no, circles are a nightmare. Right. So I'm going to use the specialist stuff just to see how effective it is. You know, because project. Unfortunately, my normal chalk marking method leaves nothing. So, there it is. I swear I forgot my plan, and I now have to go back and do it again. So, as you can see, I've left a bit of space around here. That's because I'm going to make little pull tabs so I can tack it onto the side of the hammerhead itself. Because this is only 2mm thick, it's not really good enough for like side stick. That sounds bad, but if you want to go one edge to edge, you have to have quite a bit of thickness to be able to hold anything, and this is going to have nothing. So that's the big one. So that gets stuck in the center. Now be careful while placing this, because it can go very wrong. Okay, that's good enough. So now cut some tabs down to the line that I drew. And essentially I'm going to cut out every other tab. It means the edge will be curved, but also, I mean, it's better than not working at all, right? And it gives a much greater surface area to bond to. Okay, just cut them out like this. Okay, and keep going. Basically, you're going to end up with a bit of a cog shape like that once it's gone all the way around. And the teeth on the gear is what you're going to be using to stick. Okay. So now I actually need to determine what, also that just directly sticks on top of there like that. But now I need to figure out, how far back does it go? It's about 4 centimeters. How far is that on there? 4 to 5. So I'm going to cut the whole thing for 5 because, I don't know, feel like it. Right, so that's 60 wide, meaning that that is 10. 10, so it's 31 centimeters in diameter at the bottom. So if we make it, okay, Okay, so it's 10 up the top, and if we make it 9 to 11 was about right there. So, so 10 to 12. So it's 31 to 36. Okay, well, we've got a good end down here that's long enough. So if we cut that in half, which would be 15 and a half to yeah, 15 and a half. Half of 15 and a half is 7 3/4, yeah. 7 3/4 is the center. So screw it, just shift it over to 10. And this is by 4, so mark that out too. Okay, so down at the 5 mark we need 18. Oh wait, no. And at the center we need a difference of 5.5, which means 4.5 there, and 15.5. Yeah, okay, I hope that works. I've been working for too long, my brain is starting to mush up a bit. So yeah, I just traced around the first one, with like to make the second. Now in theory, this will make a cone. I mean, in theory, they're the same length for both ends. This did not work at all, don't worry. Yeah, and we just end up with a heart shape, so. So we need much more like that in the end. Which is basically a straight cut. And that's just a cylinder. Yeah, that's just become a standard cylinder now. 5 milk cones today. Okay, fine. $36 is its maximum, so it's annoyed me, so I will do it the cheating way. $36 by 5. Yep, there you go. Wow, okay, I've messed that up again. But yeah, right, so we've got you two together, and you become a potent, or you become a cylinder, which is fine. Which is way too big. So we're going to have to start taking bits out. Which... 1, 2, 3. A little bit further, so there. And 4. I don't know if this will work, by the way. And just let's go in, do little V-cuts. This should work because it'll reduce the diameter up the top from the front or from the bottom, making it a cone. But it could also just make it absolutely hideous. I mean, it's starting to work. Also, when doing it, you've got to be careful to put tension in the right spots and not to reduce the top diameter by too much, which I think I've done on this case. Yeah, I've messed this up. go in like this. So we've got that, but that is much too small. So yeah, we succeeded at making it, I succeeded at making a cone. Unfortunately, it's too small at the top now. So let's try it one more time. So what I did was cut out far too much. I had the right idea to start with, but unfortunately when I put it into practice, I messed up. But hey, don't worry about it. Rin. So yeah, this time we do far less for cuts. It's just like just a little itty bit and we'll be okay. So that's too much already. We need to take like a little sliver out of it. For every one I make a mistake like that on, it'll show up on all the others. So that one's too much as well. We'll be okay. I mean, that's a tiny little adjustment to the top, but when we're talking a number of millimeters, we are talking tiny adjustments. Like the whole thing. You also notice that I gave it more than it needs because I gave it 6 centimeters in length instead of 5. Okay, so now that's close to a cone. Let's not just dump stuff this time, just do it properly. Okay, and where is my center section? Just put it over the top, and it's again too small. That's fine. Right, so big enough on the bottom. Yeah. still a cone, but it's now a slightly shorter cone, and you put that over there. Only a tiny little bit shorter. Like here. So I'm cutting off about 5mm. Okay, that'll work. And now when you put it on top, it actually looks about right. So at this point, we need to get the glue gun back and start gluing. So from the inside, when you're doing these, you can just fold it open like that and fill. I think that should have some in it. Yeah, it's just a little bit though. Hopefully by the time I reach the end, it'll be cooled down enough that I can just tidy it up and move on. Let's just grab a bit and just scrape. Okay, like that. Yeah, this is basically unusable at this point. Okay, so doing this, I'm going to put that down flat, or as flat as it'll go. I mean, fold these over as well, just so they're encouraged to go in the right direction. Run that down. Now normally I'd reinforce these with pads on the back, but you can't because of the the lighting nature. So, a little bit there. A little bit there. Okay, little bits here, and just work your way around the tacking points. These tabs are going to be the equivalent of the reinforcements I'd usually put on the back. And it's okay, and you get that. When you put a light behind that, it'll show up as a ring of light, which is what we want. Then we get that, put it on the inside and stick there. And we have a hammerhead. At this point, we can take this off because the glue's dried. Now I could permanently stick it inside, but I want to do the lighting rig on this beforehand. There's a lot of I'm going to do stuff in the future for this. get you away somewhere. There's even a point where I have to stop and say I don't have space to work anymore, I need some tidy. Yeah. So we've now got that much. So I can chuck that down for now, because we're nowhere near done. So we've got a staff to go on it. Yeah, going hammerhead. Of course, giant ass blade that I am actually sitting on. I mean, it's okay. You can't get it in shot, but... So those two go over there because I'm keeping stuff there. Then pop all the other parts, that staff goes back over there. You two are finished parts as well, so you go there, you go onto the finished pile, because you're as close as you're going to get for now. And then, well, if you could all look away for a second while I, completely ignore some of my rules. That's for future me to deal with. I can hear her shouting already. So yeah, I'm going to leave this bit for now because I've already done tons of work on the head. But I have already done this entire section, so that can go. That's done, so we can chuck that. It's all good. Now we have this section down here to deal with, which is the handle. Now, so what we're going to do, this is going to be a little bit longer off the end just to make it safe. I'm going to build that bit out of foam, have two layers. Basically do what I did up here, but stick a cone over it. Then this bit's going to be wrapped with foam, and that bit's going to be a thicker layer that goes on first. But this means I'm going to have to drill another 2 of these, which is not really going to be a problem, but just go grab the pipe. So I'm going to need 2 of these, and this one is much. Hey, hello? Okay, so I can hear an odd vibrating noise beside me. So I'm going to drill out 2 of these and then put a hole for the center of them like I did yesterday. Might as well do it somewhere where the camera can see, right? So one of them is for right on the end, And the other one, oh, that's nasty. Okay, that seems to be keeping the noise under control. And one of them is for the collar, just before the handle. Are we through? Yep, that's one. And for the second one, that'll be okay. Wow, that went through quicker than I expected. So here's the little offcuts. It's nice and chill out there. So we just take off the little bits off the side, clean it up a bit. There goes clean up this one too. I swear this is the one I went, oh, this isn't. Okay, that was the wrong pipe. So I was thinking like, because I used it for this bit and that is not the same thickness. I thought that was too easy. It's this pipe. Let's do that again. I thought that was way too easy. So let's go get a hole cut. I'm not entirely sure of this technique. Don't squeak. I'm not entirely sure this technique was ever supposed to be scaled up to this size. Okay, so it seems it's going to squeak in that bit, so I just won't let those bits touch. And there you go. That's more like where I was after. Let's get this bit. A nice little gap here. I say with the smaller pipes, this is really easy. With this huge one, wears me out like no tomorrow. Okay, my friend, close enough. Okay, just pull that out. Oh, ow. Okay, there may be a size where it's more efficient to use a hole saw, but it's one. Oh, that one went in slightly wonky. Oh well, nothing I can't correct for a pair of scissors. Okay, and I just aim that bit inwards because it's a bit ugly. Now we just try to work out exactly where the center is. And we drill a little hole in the center of it. Once we get this through, here we go. Yep. Yeah. Okay, my pen's now permanently stuck inside that bit of pipe. Well, permanently stuck. I'll get it out. I don't know what with, but I'm sure I have a screwdriver or something I can jam in there. Or a tripod leg. Okay, so we've got those two now. So this one slides on like this, which goes on like that, which is going to be this section here. And this one butts up just on the end there. So we're going to have it wrapped down to 12. I don't know where my Sharpie went. Oh, there it is. Please don't fall. Just mark the positions of these things so that you remember. So it's like there. Just doesn't need to be 100% accurate, but just once you're close enough, it should be okay. Wow, that has junk stuck all over it. Okay, and pull back down a bit. And nothing else on this actually involves being pulled, so we just rotate that on until it's flush with the end. Do I actually want to make another one? Do I want to do that again? Is the question, and yes. If I double up on this end one, it'll look better. That's literally the only reason I'm going to do this. Oh, it needs to be a flat bit of table. It does. Oh, don't do that. See, I didn't think of this. Oh, stop that. Okay, how close are you to? Okay, you're close enough. I have to account for the fact it's nearly midnight and I don't want to be annoying my neighbours. Just again, straighten up the edges just so it looks reasonable. I mean, ultimately this bit's going to be curved off anyway, but just run some glue around. Okay, and run that. Do I have a bit of spare? Yeah, sure, I'll just use that. Wow, that was nowhere near where it was meant to be. Whoops. So I'm going to move that down to there just because it'll look better in the end. Also, the fact I'm drawing on it makes no difference. Right. So now, so it's about 1.5 centimeters. That's going to be so. Yeah, 1.5 centimeters of 1 mm. This stuff should do. This is 1 mil craft foam. I just need to make it look like leather, and this stuff works much better with the other foams and the glues than fake leather does. So that's why I use it. Why did I put it over there? It's 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. So we just run across. I'll cut one long strip. Hopefully that'll be enough. Just do a bit of an angle up the top. Oh wow, that is not good enough. Okay, that should be better. Right, so what I'm attempting is just get this to wrap around. And then while it's going, you just layer up like that. This is not long enough by a long way though. But if you do that, you end up with the leather wrapped handle effect. So that's a bit of a mess up on my part. But I didn't know how long I'd need. So I think if I just go down the entire length, yes. Yeah, just do 2 centimeters down the entire length and I should be okay. This bit of foam's pretty old. I've been using it for loads of different things over the years, so I've been taking chunks out of it anywhere I can find over that time. Which usually wouldn't make much of a difference, but in this situation, I can just see me now going, that's future me's problem. Check if it'll actually fit. Oops. I mean, yeah, it'll run down the leg. It'll run down and make a good handle. Run it round, and it's that there, I think. Okay, so hopefully we can just start tacking it. Get some more hot glue, get another stick ready because we're going to need it. Okay, that's on. Okay, and just put another line in there. do a line of glue every now and again just to make sure it doesn't slip loose. Yeah. I'm not really bothered if it does slip loose over time, but I mean, if you're going to do something, even if it's just practice, do it properly. Because if you don't practice doing it right, how are you ever going to do it right? At this point, I'm going to be getting far more sloppy, down to the fact that the handle ended there. Okay, just get rid of the little sharp bits, because I used the raw edge foam. Okay, and there's a handle. Grab this and do a little mark where we need to start. Just there. So now I need to get some 5mm, which fortunately this is. So if I just start off on that mark, do a run around. Don't know where my masking tape's gone. Probably what was rolling around on the floor earlier. Down. Then scissors, cut it loose. There you go. Okay, so we start the handle from there and then come out with the coney bit that I'm going to do. But I'm going to put the 1mm away first, because that is not particularly going to be used again on this entire project. I haven't typed up my workspace in 3 hours, so it's getting really badly out of hand. How are we doing? Okay, let's just start off there. Yeah, that's good enough. My skills really go downhill when I get tired, so that'll do. So just get this. Starting to go. Am I brave enough to do that first off? Don't think so. Let's figure out what the maximum diameter is and do it properly. Take that bit off. Ooh, don't run away from me. think that'll do, right? For a starting point. So, what did I do with that tape? Oh, there you are. Okay, eventually. So this one here gets cut off there. Let me just follow that line round. Okay, just stay. So just get a little bit, stick the other end together. Just go down the opposite side. Like that. There. There. Yep. Come on, cut. Then just cut here. So of course we just take off a little bit like before. And like the top of the hammer, this is going to be significantly more to remove. So we just keep cutting. I'm taking off too much of some of these, so my bad. Let's just slip that over. Yeah. That's still a little bit too big. Thank you. I mean, once you put the actual hammer head on the thing, it does sort of look a bit better. And once you put that on it, it does look better, but it's one I've wanted to build for a few years, but I wasn't good enough when I first tried. So I'm now coming back, trying again. The costume's relatively simple, but this thing is a nightmare. Well, for someone who's like in their first year of cosplay, this is a nightmare. I did fail it. Yeah, my first costume that I made was T45 power armor. I literally just picked the highest difficulty I could and just went for it. turns out you do learn a lot, but it's not very good. The 245 was pretty good. I mostly succeeded. It's like I made T-51 straight away afterwards, and then a Space Marine. So coming back down to doing small stuff like this, it's like, oh, here's something that takes up half the convention centre, and here's a hammer. But I definitely wanted to come back to do this again. I have pictures of them. They're on my Instagram and Facebook, to be fair. I've been out cosplaying for like the last year or so. I don't know, something about building like 4 giant sets of armor in 4 years sort of burns you out. I did making the Space Marine on here. I did make my Sister of Battle on here, but I also have a YouTube where I've got me making all of these things. Most of them at this point are just high-speed videos, just going, yep, I did this. Come on, you'll fit. You'll be fine. My YouTube for my crafting videos is the same as is on here. This was originally made just for like my crafting videos, but I play games as well now. I mean, crafting is kind of expensive to do all the time. Anyone who's done it knows that. Okay, yeah, that'll work mostly. Yeah. Thank you. Ooh, that got away from me. Unfortunately, I can't actually work power armor anymore. I used to, but they just pull my joints apart now, so I can't actually move. They do look good though. should really stop burning myself. That end's slightly stuck. And you touch hot glue to your hand. Oh yeah, I only did the video with the second one. Thank you. I mean, I started that channel just to do tutorials because when I started there weren't any. And now there's loads of people doing them, so I just didn't see the point going back. I mean, I'm doing enough recording now with the streams that I'm probably going to start doing videos showing how to do these things again. Oh, actually, no, that'll do. Yeah. Just seal up. It's all good. Well, it's coming along, at least. What else do I have to do? Right. So I should be able to start the setup for the lighting at this point, I think. Check those two off to the side. Drag this round. So top section's going to be pink, bottom section's going to be, yeah. That one works, it's sealed on top. Well, I'm going to have to put holes through it regardless. And that. I still make everything to the convention rules, whether I intend to take it to one or not. So they're all relatively safe. Of course, as with everything, if you get some idiot trying to hit someone with it, then, you know, they'll probably manage it, but... Fortunately, the other lighting rig is much thinner. Yeah, these ones are just, well, cheap ones I got on Amazon for an experiment. You know, just to see how they work here. Whereas I've used proper programmable ones in the past. Those ones were slightly more awkward. So I still have to figure out where to put this control box. Ugh. But you know, thinking about it, it up in the top section for B, couldn't I? So if I put it in like that, means I could connect them up and stick them together, yeah. Doesn't mean I've put the hole on the wrong side. Oh well. Oh God, we do not want to be back there. Because we're going to have the blade moving as well. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to, that section has to be clear. Please tell me that drops inside. No. Okay, fine, third hole. I'm so glad it doesn't matter if I put infinite holes through here. Okay, that should work. So we're starting off here. So it runs in like that. Okay, so you run through that hole, then pop out through that one. You're gonna go? Come on. It doesn't want to go. Give you a bit of a point at the end of that and maybe it'll work. There you go. Got it. Just feed it all through. Get a little bit more up and we'll be okay. Okay, now how bad is this one-sided tape? Will it work? Okay, it's only got 3, but let's come from this side. Yep. There, because it's still got to be the top. Okay, have a nice dinner. See you next time. This one's going to be harder to get through. got like 5 to put this one. I want to get this bit done before I go off for the night. Okay. So coming out the bottom and it's going to be a challenge to do, but it's possible. Okay, and we get this, run it across here. Grippers, yeah, don't have any that aren't destructive. do that? I mean, that's one of two, right? Right, how long have I been? Okay, I think I'll go till past and then stop because I'm too tired for this now. That's, yeah. I'm quite sure these are running in parallel. We'll find out. And little fairy lights, because, hey, what project's complete without little fairy lights? Parts of the drill bits, okay. I'm hoping that the actual flexible bit is long enough to get away with this. Okay, and wow, that looks safe. Let's get you out. You shouldn't be living in there. Okay, so back one's first, front one's second. Let's unravel that. I've lost the end again. Okay. That's one. Okay, we got that one. Pop this through that hole. It's a bit of a shame. These are so sharp, it's cutting my thumb to ribbons doing this. So now these go on like this. That's a good start. And we remove that together and we unlock this. It's a bit to go, but okay, so how many LEDs do I actually have in there? 1, 2, 3. Okay, that should be okay. Now decide how this goes together. I can do this. Just make sure nothing's gone wrong with it. If it catches on fire, we know that something went wrong. Okay, so it lights up fine. So let's keep that there like that. We'll be okay. Right, so that side's basically done at this point. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do about adding more lights onto that one. But pull this out. Okay, get untangled for me. Considering the fact the current end is just two broken cuts snipped straight off, it's running in parallel, so I can cut it to be as short as I like. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's enough. That's good enough. So just stick that together. And get the little staff that sticks out the front. Get a little bit to clean it up. No, not that. That's a good bit. Okay, so just arrange this in the center where it's meant to be. While that's sticking, just get some other bits that we've been missing. So just stick all down. Oh, whoops, that shouldn't have come loose. Yeah. Just put a hole through here, ready for it. Get the end of the wire. Okay. Let's get through that hole. nearly got it. Get that untangled from the drill bits. Okay, and untangle you. Come on. Okay. So if we loop this up here around the top, and then just do spirals. And I just don't feel like cutting it, that's all. I probably can. I mean, by the look of it, that's just what they've done, but... Okay, let's put that down there. And that should be enough to tack that for now. And once that's up there, blue glow and blue glows. Oops. I mean, pull like that, then pull out. So I can get that in and out easy enough. Let's just arrange this so it's central. Yeah. There you go. And side B, get it up at side B. Yes. can come off now, hopefully. So I've got that lighting rig set up there. That's fallen off already. So I'm going to finish up there, and that's it. I'm tired, my eyes aren't focusing properly anymore, so I need a break. So I'll be back next week because that's how long I have between shows. Crap. But either way, it's coming along much better than I thought it would be by this point. I have to drill through there, so I may have to replace this little back section at some point because I have to put this on a hinge so it comes back in. But there's the hammer so far. Okay. Thanks for coming. I hope you actually enjoyed yourselves, and I'll see you next time because I'm not done yet. Bye.